Welcome back, everybody. You're watching Sibos TV, and now we're going to get a view from one of the world's top bankers. His name is Jamie Forese. He is the co-president and Citi CEO at the Institutional Clients Group for Citi. Nice to see you again, and thanks very much for joining us. And I should tell everybody that Jamie came off a flight at 8 o'clock this morning, so it's even more impressive that you're here listening to some of the sessions here at Sibos. Tell me what you think and your impressions of the conference so far.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. This is my first Sibos. I only picked up responsibility for our transaction services businesses earlier this year, and so I've heard a lot about Sibos over the years from my colleagues, but this is my first visit to it. I've been, very impressed with the sheer attendance here. The people, the sponsors, the banks, the vendors. The industry bodies that are all here. It's a terrific gathering, I think, of very influential people that all have something in common. So it's wonderful for Citi to be part of that, and wonderful for me to be part of it. And I think it's terrific too that for the first time it's in Dubai and in this region, and I gather that's attracted some new participants than it has in the past.
Yeah. So at the Institutional Clients Group at Citi, tell us a little bit about the kinds of clients that you service and what are some of the things that they're asking you to do more and more, and how do you meet some of those challenges?
Yeah. We have, in the Institutional Clients Group, we have only about 10,000 clients that constitute the vast majority, almost about 97% of our revenue. The bank itself has 22 million clients, but most of those are individuals, and only 10,000 are covered by the Institutional Clients Group. We cover the world's largest, most sophisticated corporations, public sector clients, and investors with some of the most sophisticated needs around the world. Increasingly, what they're asking us for is to help them not only pursue their business strategies, but also to make them more efficient, to help us come up with solutions to let them operate their liquidity efficiently, to make payments, to receive payments as efficiently as possible as they operate in an increasingly complex world. Increasingly complex due to regulation, increasingly complex because they're doing business in more regions, their supply chains have become more global, they're selling products in more parts of the world, and so that's added to their complexity, and many of them are reaching out to us, and we feel well qualified to help them, given that we have operations in over 100 countries ourselves, and are able to provide them with solutions in that regard.
So you mentioned liquidity, you mentioned regulation. Just give me a couple of examples on how you are helping them deal with some of these issues that they're asking you to deal with.
Well, it's also client specific, and it depends really on the nature of the client's issues, and really even amongst those 10,000 clients, there's almost no two clients that are the same. And again, I think we leverage some of the experience that we have from what other clients are doing to help each individual client with their own circumstances. Again, one of the common things may be just managing liquidity balances as efficiently as possible in such a low interest rate environment today. People are trying to run their operations with a minimum amount of sort of excess liquidity to support their operations, and so being short liquidity in one geography and long liquidity in another can be costly if they have to borrow money in one region or country, whereas they may have excess liquidity in the other. So we're helping many clients to smooth that out.
How do you do that?
And we have to contend with that. We have to do that while contending with a lot of the regulation, the increasing regulation for each and every local jurisdiction, to want to make sure that they can protect capital within their own borders. So how we do that, we go about doing that, we listen very closely to what our clients' needs are. We try to be really thoughtful about the solutions that fit. We try not to sell products necessarily, but rather use those products as building blocks for for the solutions that they need.
And you mentioned this is the first year you've taken over responsibility for transaction services. Tell me what specifically people are, or you want to see on the agenda for transaction services here at Sibos in some of the conferences.
Well, first of all, transaction services is really at the heart of banking for Citi. In fact, it's probably the anchor to almost all of our corporate relationships. It's the one thing that sort of ties us to our clients day in and day out. What we hope to get out of conferences like this is not only is it a great opportunity for us to see our clients, but our own agenda really is around making sure that the infrastructure for payments is as efficient as possible, that we adopt common standards and protocols that allow payments and receivables or securities to move as freely as possible with a minimal amount of friction. And I think that's something that's common to all of the industry, not just the large banks, but even the small banks, that we all want to see an infrastructure that allows us to operate as efficiently as possible.
I mean, obviously, banking gone through an interesting few years, 5 years at least. Where is the growth for you at Citi? Where are you guys excited about? Which growth areas?
Well, we're experiencing a little bit more growth today in the emerging world than in the advanced economies, so that's no surprise given that the emerging economies, even as they moderate a little bit, the emerging economies are still growing faster than the advanced economies. And when you're in the banking business, you can't get too far from that underlying economic activity. So we're, given that we have a presence in over 100 countries and a very vast emerging markets presence, we're looking to the emerging markets to be a greater source of opportunity for us. We have a lot of clients, emerging market domiciled companies that are beginning to do more and more business around the world, and increasingly our clients that are headquartered in the developed world are doing more and more of their business into emerging markets. So that's a big source of opportunity for us in the years ahead, and hopefully growth.
Which of the emerging markets do you think is where you'd see more growth than others?
Well, it's hard to, we did I know I just said talking about the emerging markets like they were a wholly consistent group of countries or markets, but they're really not. And you have to look at every, almost country by country. And even the regions themselves within emerging markets aren't homogeneous. If you take Latin America, for instance, what's happening in Brazil today is very different from what's happening in Mexico or in Venezuela or Argentina or Chile, and it's very difficult. It's a mistake really to talk about the region as if it were one, or even for that matter all of the emerging markets as if they were one. I think a simple formula for where the opportunity is going to be is where economic activity is going to be the most significant. So where GDP is growing faster, that's going to be a bigger source of opportunity for us. Where there's stability in the government and the political system, where there's good rule of law, those are good fundamentals for opportunity in emerging markets.
Okay, well, Jamie, thanks very much for taking the time and coming to
pleasure.
visit with us on Sibos TV. It's been a pleasure having you with us. Jamie Forese there from Citi, everyone.